Happy Friday, everybody, and no, that doesn't get old. I'm always gonna say that. Um, I don't know. It's just nothing like a Friday. Doesn't matter if you work 7 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever. Nothing like a Friday. It's a beautiful fall September day here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I thought this would be kind of a nice little site to show everybody. The cattle. The beef cattle got put on the North Hill for the last time this year. I want to say they have been up there. That is number 4. Remember, we're a rotational grazing farm here. Yeah, I believe that is rotation number 4 up there. They got put up there this morning. They're only spending 1 day up there. And that'll be about it. Pickings are getting kind of slim, folks, with grazing. It's about to come to an end. If I had to guess, I'd say another week and a half, and the corn, one of the silos is going to be opened up. And it's going to be time for them to kind of be confined here between the 2 lots and fed corn silage. Grazing is coming to an end. It's been a good, healthy year for the most part. We had about a 3-week little lagging period with the pasture system, but all turned out okay. I don't even think I said it. September 28th, Friday. It's about 2:45 p.m. All right, folks, we got a little job we're doing here. I'm going to explain it to you. This is a trial, and hopefully not an error. Trying something new. I'm never afraid to try something new, as long as it sounds like it makes a little bit of sense. Okay. Brought in a whole bunch of sand. Folks, we're pretty lucky up here. We are chock full of gravel up here, and we also are chock full of sand in a lot of areas. And it's starting to rain again. I decided to do this today instead of plowing. It's just a little bit too greasy out there for plowing today. Tomorrow's a different story. In fact, we're going to get in the beef barn here. She's raining. I don't want to melt or nothing, you know. All right, here's the science and reason behind this. Every year, all of our lots, and of course, the beef shelter here, gets cleaned out by tractor and loader. At least every other year, fill is needed to fill in the low spots, the dips, and everything else. Most of you understand how that works. It's gotten pretty bad here in the last few years, especially this beef barn. It doesn't take much to see how much lower things are. Now, granted, don't judge it by that chunk of concrete there. That is actually designed to be 6 inches higher or better than what's supposed to be ground level. This area here, for example, was just one giant crater. It was awful. And what happens is if you don't fix it, you're just going to have craters full of what I'm going to call, if you're cleaning it out, you're going to get craters full of liquid manure, and they're not going to go anywhere. They're just going to stay there. What happened this year, and I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to tell you this, I mean, this happens to about everybody unless you're perfect. We had a little problem with foot rot this spring and into summer. In fact, in some cases, it got to the extreme to where it had to be treated. That's unacceptable. It is normal, but it's unacceptable. Something must be done about it. So Normal practice was for us to put fill back into the areas and low spots. We made a normal practice of bringing in your run-of-the-mill, regular old pit run. For some of you that don't know, and it's okay that you don't, pit run is basically a gravel pit in the middle of nowhere. You're just scooping buckets out of there. You're just hopeful that it's not too bad and you don't get huge stones. There's a problem with that. Pit run will pack to whatever you want to, and it's really hardly not going to go anywhere. The problem with pit run is when you go to clean these shelters and the yards out in the spring, you can't help but to get some of those stones into the manure spreader. Well, here's the deal. You're spreading shrapnel. Folks, this past spring, I ain't going to lie to you, I took a piece of shrapnel in the head and it did not feel good. It wasn't good. It could have been a heck of a lot worse. That is not the main reason why we're doing sand. But I think it's time to stay away from the pit run. Well, the other thing you can't do, though, is go ahead and put very expensive road gravel in here. Now, for us, road gravel means, and this is an MDOT spec, Michigan DOT spec of 22A or 23A. One's just a little bit heavier in clay. You can't go spending money on that. That's too expensive. Sand here, dirt cheap. In fact, the trucking outweighed the price of the product by probably threefold. So the sand was extremely cheap. We're going to try it. It's a lot more sanitary. In fact, it's a common practice now. Actually, Andrew Horrigan with Farming, Fix It, and Fabrication YouTube channel, he beds his cows and his farm with sand. It's a lot more sanitary. The problem is it doesn't pack very good. Now, after a while it will. Right now they're just sinking in it. In fact, I think the cows hate it because I did most of this yesterday afternoon, and I'm here to tell you there wasn't but one or two cows that made their way in here. But they're going to have to get used to it, and we're going to see what it does. So, yeah, we had a pretty good problem with some hoof rot this spring, and not to mention this had to be filled in anyway, so this is our fix for both problems. Trial and hopefully not error. We'll see what happens. You got to try something, you know. So yeah, I got to level all this out, obviously. My God, I'm starting to really realize that I need a skid steer bad, but I also need a lot of things, so what are you gonna do? I'm able to get in here nice and carefully with the open 6400 and loader. I'll be able to get most of this kind of leveled out, but and then the cows, they'll level it out themselves just being in here. So I hit this the beef barn shelter and corral system, as we call it, which we're also going to talk about here in 2 seconds. This is the opening out into the cow lot, as we call it. I did some sand over by the water tank over there, and some sand over by a water tank that we set up over here come calf weaning season. When we wean off all the calves from the mothers, which for us happens in late November, early December, the calves get stuck in here in the beef shelter corral system, as we call it. And the cows are completely reserved out in this yard. And we end up having to set up a, it's one of those 2.5 by 8 foot water tanks, pretty good sized water tank, and it's a low spot that had to be filled in. So anyway, that's what we got going on here. We'll see what happens. I don't know. This was a decision for the fix. Okay, let's talk about this beef shelter. This is not a sizable farm by any means. Very proud of what it is. it's about to get bigger. It has to. For example, and these are guarantees, I will be bringing in 20 heifers this fall, late fall. That's it, period, end of story. I'm emptying the steer lot here within the next few weeks. Once they're empty, I've got some purchases already locked in. It's all local sales, which I think is pretty darn awesome. There's going to be 20 head purchased and put in the lot this fall. 20 at a minimum, but it is 20. It's going to be a mix of open heifers, which means this spring's calves, and we're going to see. It's going to depend on pricing, folks. You know, that's the story of life. We're going to see about trying to get my hands on about maybe 5 bred heifers that, of course, are about to calf, that will calf this spring. All right, now that's spring. I'm also keeping back 5 of our own heifers. We had a very bad year this year with calving because of last year's breeding season. So there's a lot of late calves. There was 5 that were born in May, June that are going to be kept back as well. And they're going to be thrown in the steer lot. I'm going to have to start calling it a heifer lot here pretty quick. Spring of 2019, this is a 100% guarantee. This is a have to as far as I'm concerned. There will be another 20 open heifers. If the price is right, maybe even some heifers carrying a calf that are about to calf, later this next spring, there'll be another 20 purchased. So, therefore, what you see here doesn't cut it. Not by a long shot. Remember, the goal here is a 100 head cow-calf operation. That means 100 brood cows, meaning mothering cows that calf every spring. This shelter does not cut it. And we are talking about the winter here now, folks. I've got the pole building company coming out in the next week or two to shoot me a quote. I'm already pretty sure what we're looking at here. But my goal, I need to measure this off exactly. I'm not very good with footages, to be honest with you. Is about another 100-foot addition onto that. Onto the shelter as you see it. Another 100 feet. Which just simply means defacing this end here and adding on another 100 feet. 75 to 100, I'm going to probably guess another 100 feet. It's also going to require 1, if not 2 more waterers. So there's going to have to be a couple more pads built, and of course intercepting the water lines down below. And here where we're from, they better by God be 6 feet in the ground. And if you want to sleep at night, even a little some chunks of insulation on top of the piping. So that's the goal. It has to be reality. That's just the way things are. That's what I'm looking at. Things are about to get pretty serious here in another couple of months as far as me putting my planning and my thoughts towards it, and of course financially and everything else. And quite simply, everything is just going to shift that way. The opening into the cow yard over here, gate systems, which is another biggie. This little corral system here has worked for us. By no means is this some top of the line ordeal to work cattle. I know that. Guess what? It's worked for us. So a big thumbs up. It's not suitable anymore. It's very quickly deteriorating. It's getting harder to manage working cattle through the gate system. So along with next spring's building of adding on to this beef shelter will be a brand new corral system. I'm going to build it. I'm going to design it and build it myself with some help. You know, if you get on the internet, you can find anything on the internet, literally. It's amazing. Just Google corral systems, and you can find so many designs. It's not even funny. And it's just a matter of picking one that suits what you need and what you have. And that's going to be a dire must. It's going to be all done with, you know, I'd like to go steel, but I don't think I'm going to do that. It's going to be all done with treated lumber. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it once, and it's going to last for a long time. Treated lumber, and we're also talking 6x6s at a minimum. There's a little bit of planning here, and there's a little bit of time to do so. That's the goal, and that goal needs to be reality. With the cattle that I have coming in and where I want this to be, it has to be a reality, and it has to be this spring, as far as I'm concerned. It's not really up for argument. If you're going to have cattle, they need a shelter. And that's it. I know it sounds simple, but anyway, so yeah. I'm just pushing and moving a little bit of sand here on this Friday afternoon, folks. I did want to go plowing like I had said, but it's too greasy. Tomorrow is what I'm going to call National Chisel Plowing Day for me. I'm going to finish up that one field that I think we left off on last on a YouTube video, and I'm going to hit and hopefully maybe even finish another 14-acre field tomorrow. But that seems like a little bit of a tall order to me. We'll see what happens. I got a lot of other stuff to do too. But yeah, that's the gist of it, folks. Oh man, what I had for lunch had an onion in it. Man, I don't know if it's getting with age or what, but I can't handle them no more. Okay, it's also Friday. Oh, this is a long video. Sorry, folks. It's Shout Out Friday. If anybody's even still watching, there'll be a video to come, and I think we're gonna go do it out at camp this evening. Just to kind of show you what's going on. I failed tremendously this past spring and last winter in cutting what I need for firewood for home heat this winter, which is a god-awful shame. I don't know what happened. I just lost time. That's the story of life sometimes. The god-awful shame is there is a 60-acre hardwoods full of beech and maple. That's the shame. I ended up having to buy 10 cords. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Time. So yeah, I just had 10 cords trucked in here right after lunch. I wish I would have made a video of it. A lot of people probably would have liked to seen that log loader go. It was a good buddy of mine. And yeah, maybe we'll do it's just fitting. Nice fall day. And we'll do a little Shout Out Friday video out at camp. So, all right, folks, I jabbered on enough here, and I got to get my butt in gear. Hope all is well. Happy Friday to you again. We're going to talk to you sooner and later.